color.
Yeah, so you can see that the two types of prints are very different depending on your taste. And this print here is actually a serigraph, which is different than a lithograph. The serigraph technique was patented in England in 1907, but was actually used back in the 11th and 12th centuries during the Song dynasty in China.
Really?
Yeah. It was only further developed by Europeans and the rest of the world once silk mesh became more readily available from trade from the East.
Neat.
And like a lithograph, the first step in a serigraph process is to create plates. In this case, the artist will take a thin sheet of mylar or transparent paper and hand draw the design onto the mylar itself as opposed to a slab.
Mm-hmm.
This mylar is actually treated with different types of chemicals to be receptive to different types of mediums, such as pen and ink, brushwork, airbrushing, so that you can get a different effect with each color. Each color has to have a plate made. And in this case, once the plate is made, the artist will then take the plate and put it up against a mesh screen that has been treated with a light-sensitive emulsion. This is then treated with high-intensity light so that the areas that are open harden, and when the areas that are protected from the design underneath actually remain soft, so that the artist can wash away the soft emulsion, creating a stencil.
Wow. For each color?
For each color.
And how many colors might be in a work like this?
This work, you would have to sit there and count, but I would say probably about 60, 75 maybe. But that's the good thing about serigraphs, and the cool thing about it is that the artist has to mix each individual color, and it has to be absolutely perfect throughout the whole edition, which gives a value of color fidelity that's way above a mechanized printer that you have, a 4-color scheme. Then the whole process of printing itself is done gradually throughout the entire edition, 1 color at a time.
Wow. And how long would that take to produce? I see that this is an edition of 275. This is number 106.
Well, for a medium complexity job with a serigraph, typically about 60 colors, will take you about 6 weeks. So the artist is actually putting in their time and their effort and their skills for a lengthy amount of time to create each of these prints. The interesting thing about serigraphs is that each individual print is unique and can be slightly different than another one in the edition. The colors can vary in opacity. The way the colors are overlaid can be slightly off and unique to the one before it. And another interesting thing about serigraphs is that the screens used for the printing only have a life of about 200 to 300 impressions, so that they decay so fast that after this run is created, there will never be another serigraph or another limited edition run like this again, which is quite interesting. It's very unique.
Wow. So a serigraph would typically be made after an original work of art.
Correct.
But the creative process would extend from the reproduction of that work of art all the way through the printing process.
All the way through the printing process and to the post-production. The artist will go through and hand fix tiny imperfections that they think might be a little off or a little too obvious. So all the way from beginning to end, it is done by the artist hand himself, just like the original artwork was done.
Wow. Well, thanks for telling me about that.
Yeah. This artist in particular is Howard Behrens, and he is an American. He was born in Chicago in 1933, and he was actually accepted to Johns Hopkins Medical Arts School, but he decided being a medical illustrator just wasn't for him and went on to create beautiful works like this. The last item that we're going to be talking about is actually an artist proof, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what that is. If you could help me grab this.
Sure.
And I will grab the next. So this right here is an artist proof. It is a lithograph. It's titled Two Nudes by Salvador Dali. And what is interesting about this is that there is a correlation between scarcity and value. And an artist proof is extremely rare, and it's very high value as well. What it is it's basically an impression. It's not a part of the regular run or the edition. It's usually property of the artist, his or her printer, his or her dealer. Mm-hmm. So they're very rare to come by. This, in particular, the way that you can tell an artist proof is where you notice the numbers where before, it now has an abbreviation. They will be either AP, which stands for artist proof, EA, which is Eprouve d'Artiste, which is artist proof in French, mm-hmm. or Hors de Commerce, which means not for commerce, and it'll be HC. And these are extremely valuable, and on top of the fact that it is a lithograph, which is already as valuable as we talked earlier, this one is very rare in itself.
And this is also from the collection of William and Ruth Harris?
It is. And it was actually bought in private sale in 1986, 3 years before Dali had passed in 89.
Great.
This work in particular is also hand embellished. The gold flecks in it, as you can see, are actually done by the artist himself. The colors are laid on as separate plates, as we discussed earlier.
Right.
But these hand embellishments and the fact that he hand signed it make this work very valuable.
I guess that goes along with what you were saying before about the seriographs and the whole process of taking the artist's idea of the work and extending that through the printing process.
Yeah, whenever you can notice the hand of an artist in the work, whether it be in a painting or as specific as this as a hand embellishment in a print, it always makes it that much more valuable and that much more memorable and unique.
Right.
So,
what a beautiful work.
Yes.
Katie, thank you so much for explaining to me what a lithograph is, what a seriograph is, and how to tell if a print is an artist's proof. I've learned a lot today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matter of fact, being around art like this reminds me of the time that I used to work at Sotheby's and when I lived in New York City. It's been a while since I've been around art of this quality, but I'm really happy to offer 2 wonderful fine art consignments in our November 2010 auction. And I'm even happier that these items are going to sell, along with many other items, to the highest bidders at McLemoreauction.com.